Thank you for this opportunity. And I am really excited that I get to spread word and light on gut health. And there are so many other functional medicine projects and regenerative medicine projects that are happening around the world that I get to be a part of. So my journey started with so that was my turning point where I had to really dive into lifestyle medicine and also understand how the body works and how the gut works because I had such bad problems with gut that I wasn't even able to even lie down on the bed. And I had to sleep on a recliner for about 6 months. So that was not very pleasant. And that's where everything changed for me because all the answers I was looking for was basically outside of what I was studying with pharmaceuticals and I've done 9 years in pharmaceutical industry because I have a bachelor's in pharmaceutical sciences and I have a doctorate in pharmacy, so 4+4, and then in between there was some internships and different things I was learning. So I do understand where both the different worlds come from, and that's why I wanted to be more holistic. And I found out that I had leaky gut. So I started understanding what is leaky gut and how is this happening. So leaky gut syndrome is a digestive condition that affects the lining of our intestine and of course stomach too. And what happens in this process is that the tight junctions in the gut lining, they start becoming basically loose. And now these spots have basically the bacteria and toxins and everything else that we're eating going through the circulation, which causes the risk for different medical conditions to happen. So I always tell my patients that, that your great health starts with good gut lining, and you can decide if you want to have amazing health or hell right here. You can experience both. And I feel like I have been through that process, and that's why I know what it feels like. So a lot of doctors or the modern medicine world does not recognize leaky gut as diagnosable, but that's not true because there are tests available that I use, and two of them are basically the first one is secretory IgA, which is a unique type of gut immune biomarker. So when SIGA is ordered, we can really see if it's out of range, how your gut immune system is doing. And then I also order zonulin, and that's how I can tell the degree of a leaky gut, because zonulin is a molecule that only goes into the bloodstream when these tight junctions have become loose. So all the chronic illnesses that we see, they all start in the gut, and that's why gut is such an important organ, I would say, or part of the body that we can really look at when it comes to diabetes, any autoimmune, cardiovascular problems, or all the like the cancer even starts there, because when all these chronic illnesses are not really addressed properly, that's when the cancer really happens. So how do you manage your gut health? And most people, I would say, if you look at how our modern day world has become, I would say not just America now, it's all throughout the world, be it India, or even when I was in China, I saw a lot of people who were obese. So a lot of people are going through gut problems, and that's why 70 to 80% will report some kind of gut symptom, right? It could be acid reflux, or these are obvious symptoms I'm talking about, right? When they are experiencing different problems like flatulence, acid reflux, burping, belching, constipation. But the funny thing with leaky gut is sometimes you get so used to these gut issues that they don't even become prominent in your life. But then there's other problems that come with it, which is eczema, skin rashes that are unexplained, allergies that are recurring, joint issues, migraines. All of these are not directly related to gut problems in the modern world, but that's where they're stemming from. And that's why I created this guide that can really help us understand. So this is what I was talking about when it comes to the normal junction where there's no space. And then there is this, inflammation that's happening because junctions have become loose. So that's where the pathogens, allergens, and other toxins are going through the bloodstream. So that was my introduction to the leaky gut. Now, how are you going to combat this, and how are you going to make sure you can actually get some results that you're looking for? So the first one I always tell my patients is keep a food journal, especially when your symptoms are really exacerbated, because we really need to pay careful attention to what is causing an immediate accurate reaction in the body. Body is very intuitive, and it is always telling us all these I would say signs and messengers are being sent. But if we are not paying attention to it, that's when we fail to recognize what's happening. So having a food journal really helps, because some people might need a FODMAP diet, or some people need to exclude nightshades, or they need to exclude complete sugar. It all depends on how their body is reacting to it. And of course, there is an expensive nutrigenomic test to that also that we can order. And that is a part of my process when I do the 90-day gut healing program for my patients. So it just depends on what's causing the sensitivity to your body, because at one point when the leaky gut is very, very high, your body will start not recognizing, basically, instead of recognizing simple holistic molecules that are created by nature and earth that are food. We're not talking chemicals, but because of the chemicals, all the damage that's happening, now these good quality, high quality molecules have become foreign to the body. And that's when we start reacting to these things. So if we can calm the immune system down, and the inflammatory response down, and bring the immune system up, these allergies, food allergies, actually go away. So I've had patients who would be allergic to nightshades, but then they love nightshades. And I tell them, give me time and we can actually introduce nightshades again. So it just depends on how everyone's genetic makeup is and how we can heal the gut and how much damage is there. So make time for one change at a time. When you introduce too many things or take away too many things, we don't know what exactly has worked. So that's why I don't want to do a complete elimination diet in my program, because it's really hard when you do a complete elimination, first of all, to follow. And then, it is a long process. Sometimes it could go on for 3 to 6 months. So I eliminate all the inflammation causing molecules first, and then see how a clean diet would do for them, and then introduce one thing at a time. And of course, when I order tests, there is more clarity to it. So it's a whole system. It's an ecosystem that I have been able to create that really helps. I'm big on base nutrition. So what happens is when you have micronutritional deficiencies in the body, we have our own triad system that our body follows. And what happens is basically our body has to survive every day and decide what nutritional deficiency it is going to overlook, and then how much toxin overload is there. So this, just like a triage nurse, this body has its own triad system, and that's what really keeps us going through our day to day. And then we see when this is gone for long term, like a vitamin B12 or a vitamin D deficiencies or vitamin A deficiency or E, just depends on what our body's dealing with and how it is combating that. We will eventually end up with a chronic illness. So it is really important to have a very wholesome type of, I would say, vitamin or base nutrition, where there is everything, antioxidants, there is the omegas, Then there is all the vitamins, the minerals, trace elements, all of that has to be in there. And that's why there are some of my favorite combinations and brands that I use in my program. And of course, the absorption studies is what is really important when it comes to the multivitamins also. And that being said, I am a big, I would say, supporter when it comes to using good quality salt, because not only that it is important for the thyroid gland, but also to fulfill our trace element requirements. These unique salts can really help. If you're using table salt every day in your diet and like cooking, I would say throw that out. It's garbage. It has nothing but chemicals in it. And that's why it causes so many problems when it comes to blood pressure and cardiovascular health. So, the biggest myth I want to bust on this slide is that people think that these natural salts are not iodized. We don't need for it to be iodized because it's naturally iodized and it has the iodine that we need for our thyroid gland. So the myth to bust here is that iodized table salt is what is complete for cooking and our human body. No, that's not true. So really start using these unique salts. There is black salt, there is Himalayan pink salt, kosher salt, desert salt. If you do some research, there is some really high quality type of salts out there. My favorite, glyconutrients that are basically the sweet language of life. Why? Because what these do is we can really get, the type of phytonutrition that our cellular health needs, and these come from fruits and vegetables, and that's why fruits and vegetables should be freely consumed. And all there's so much, like, myth out there with different diets and different allergies. We need to really look at how the gut is and how healing has happened or not, or how much damage is there, to first be able to decide like what we are going to eventually continue our lifestyle with. And that's why it is really important that we lavishly eat fruits and vegetables when it comes to our daily diet. And yeah, I was just listening to Jason talk about, it's a process when it comes to introducing some of the things that your gut microbiome has not been used to. And that is absolutely correct, because that's where you kind of feel a little bloated and gassy in the beginning, because your microbiome is not used to breaking down these substances. And we need to, that's why, slowly introduce, but not exclude, and be careful when some of these diagnoses are given really heavily and people don't include any of these amazing glyconutrients in their lifestyle. So something to really think about. And then everyone's genome is unique, so we need to really look at how your unique nutrigenomic profile looks like and what your body is actually in correlationship with. So that's a little bit on that. And then picking out right oils. I cannot emphasize enough when it comes to usage of right oil, because what really decides usage of oil when it comes to creating raw food, or creating cooked food, or frying, deep frying, broiling, whatever it is, or saute, pan fry, we need to look at the smoke point when it comes to that, when we're cooking with the right oils, and then how we are using it in salads and making sauces versus cooking with it. And I will give you the top secret here. The two oils that has really high smoke point that you can start using starting tomorrow is avocado oil and coconut oil. And you could even combine the two. And then, of course, have these high quality fish with, I would say, salmon, mackerel, with a high amount of omega-3s that you really want to get your body to. So that's my little bit on that. And then we are going to talk about something that a lot of people are going through, but they are not even aware, which is yeast infection. And yeast infection, again, like just like leaky gut, sometimes it's obvious, like oral thrush, or like if you have yeast infection that you're going through in the body, then it'll show up in your genitals. But then other than that, sometimes it could just be like a lot of cramps and belching and burping that people don't really understand, that it's overgrowth of Candida albicans that is happening in the body. And that's why we need to make sure that we're daily including anti-yeast in our diet. And what you see in the picture, I would say garlic is one of the most important, I would say, herb that really helps with that part. But there's, of course, there's other, like olives also really help. And then when the infection is very high in amount, then we have to go with therapeutic doses. If you don't have any active infection, or you're just trying to clean up your diet, then just including it in your daily diet is really, really important. So that being said, now we're going to talk about the nutrient deficiencies that we talked a little bit earlier about it when it came to the multivitamins. But when it comes to like basic nutrients, we need to have more variety and colors in our diet. When it comes to all these colorful fruits and vegetables, that's what nature created for human body to be symbiotic with. And excluding food that are actually really high in quality is not really helpful to the body. And that's why you need to be careful when you start excluding things, because you could be heavily depleting some things that you really need and have excluded without any proper reasoning in it. So again, base nutrition is really important. Micronutritional deficiency is something that we don't want to really prolong it for too long. That's where a lot of chronic illnesses happen, because of the triad system of the body. And I think we have someone talking about intermittent fasting, right? So you guys must have learned about that. And fasting is absolutely amazing when it comes to cellular detox and gut healing. So I myself, I fast minimum 12 to 14 hours. If I can do it and I have the bandwidth, if I'm not traveling and my schedule permits, then I go for 20 to 22 hours, and sometimes even 24 hours. In the Indian culture, fasting is huge. We have picked out certain days that we really fast, usually Tuesday, Thursday, depending on what we are trying to gain from fasting is how we see it in Indian culture. But I would say doing at least like daily 12-hour fast, that would be ideal. And then if you can do even more, once a week, try to go for about 20 hours. And that's what is really going to help with your leaky gut and gut healing. Probiotics, I use that in a very later stage when it comes to introducing probiotics in like in the form of pills. But when it comes to food probiotics, fermented foods like kefir, kombucha, kimchi, even pickles. Like in our Indian culture, we have pickles every day in our diet. So those would be ideal to start with. And then, of course, looking at what gut microbiome is missing and what is needed to be enhanced or reduced, then we have to decide what actual probiotics we can really add. But make sure that you are getting it basically through your diet more than anything else. And that was my 10 tips to getting your gut healed. And if you have any questions, the way to find me is yourgutdoctor.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Dr. Mansi Shah. I do have amazing content going out. Even on Instagram, you can find me Heal with Dr. Mansi. So that was my short guide on how to heal your gut, and I am complete with that.
Dr. Shah, I do have one question. Probiotics.
Absolutely.
Like, we hear a lot on probiotics, and then it's like, you have like things like Yakult, or you have things like just eating yogurt, they say. We hear all these different things on probiotics. I've even heard, take probiotic gummies, if nothing else, and all this stuff. Like what I'm confused on the whole probiotic thing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So probiotics are something that can really enhance our gut health. Basically, if our gut is healed, if you have structural problems in the gut, there's not enough, I would say, bandwidth for them to stay around and do the work that we want long term. So they're like visitors, like Dr. Mark Hyman talks about probiotics a lot of times. And they're guests. They are not like permanent members if we are taking it through these pills. And that's why we need to, so that's why my 5-step program, where it's basically remove, repair, replace, re-inoculate, is when we look at the probiotics. If you think about that, the first 3 steps has no probiotic included in it. Re-inoculate is done towards the end. Basically in a 90-day program, we would look at it in the last month. But before that, we want to have a healthy gut lining and then have enough prebiotics. So even what you have in the body can enhance and expand. And then your food can really add value for these enhanced I would say not probiotics, but the gut microbiome to expand and have that room to grow, if that makes sense. So we want to make sure that the gut is healed and there is no structural problems or leaky gut is there before even taking probiotics. And that's why a lot of probiotics don't really give you the results that you're looking for when it comes to gut health, if that makes sense.
I see. Interesting. Okay. Now also somebody's asking about, I think they just chatted me here. What is about intermittent fasting and how that affects gut health, or if it does at all?
It does, absolutely. And that's why I have it in my guide. Think about this, right? Every time you eat something, your immune system, your gut, your microbiome, your juices, the digestive juices, the enzymes, everything has to work. So think about a car that gets overheated and overworked, and you've been not giving it any fine tuning or breaks to it, in the sense like if you keep driving it, then it is going to get burdened. And that's why whenever I have a major autoimmune patient or a cancer patient or a gut problem patient, I tell them to at least have 14 to 16 hours, because that time that we do like intermittent fasting and drink water or just herbal teas, whatever you have taken as your protocol. Sometimes I allow bone broth also, but like plain bone broth when it comes to usage of that in the fasting, then we're just really nourishing those cells and helping them detox and heal. So that's one of the things that is really crucial to gut healing.
Interesting. Okay, awesome. Well, that's all we've got for today. Where can we get a hold of you at?
yourgutdr.com, and you can find me on Instagram, Heal with Dr. Mansi, or just type in Dr. Mansi Shah on LinkedIn, and you could probably find me through the city if there was a few of them. I'm in San Diego, California. So yourgutdr.com is the best place to find my info and follow me.